Welcome to Daily Gossip. You will get daily Hollywood updates here. Remember to subscribe for the latest videos. Today, however, we take a turn from celebrity glitz to the shocking and deeply disturbing reality unfolding in American politics. An unprecedented, horrifying act that has shaken not only the residents of Pennsylvania, but the entire nation. In the early hours of April 13, 2025, as the moon hung quietly in the sky and most of Harrisburg lay sleeping, an act of domestic terrorism struck at the very heart of state leadership when an arsonist deliberately set fire to the residence of Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, a man known for his public service, family values, and Jewish heritage. The attack, which took place during the sacred Passover holiday, wasn't just an assault on one man or one building. It felt like a symbolic act of violence targeting decency, democracy, and diversity. According to authorities, the blaze ignited just after 2 a.m., engulfing the south side of the governor's mansion in flames. Governor Shapiro, his wife Lori, their children, and even their family pets were inside the home at the time, joined by guests celebrating the first night of Passover, a time of spiritual reflection and familial unity. By a miracle, and through the swift action of security personnel and first responders, everyone escaped unharmed, but the emotional scars and the symbolism of the act will linger far longer than the smoke. As news helicopters circled above and firefighters fought the flames licking the walls of one of Pennsylvania's most secure buildings, the public watched in disbelief, wondering how something so brazen, so calculated, and so hateful could happen in the 21st century in America. Within hours, investigators had begun piecing together what could only be described as a chilling and deliberate attack. The suspect, identified as 38-year-old Cody Allen Balmer, a resident of Harrisburg, had allegedly scaled the mansion's fence under the cover of darkness, carrying with him homemade incendiary devices crafted with disturbing precision. Law enforcement. Officials believe he entered the property, placed the devices in multiple locations, ignited them, and fled into the shadows, leaving behind a trail of destruction and fear. Over 12 tense hours later, after a massive manhunt involving state troopers, FBI agents, and local authorities, Balmer was captured and taken into custody. The charges against him are as serious as they come: attempted murder, terrorism, aggravated arson, and other related felonies, signaling that authorities are treating this incident not as a random act of vandalism, but as an act of domestic terrorism with potentially broader implications. The question on everyone's mind now is, why? What drove a man to attempt to burn down the home of a sitting governor? Was it political ideology? Was it rooted in anti-Semitism? Was it personal? Or was it the product of a larger, more disturbing trend of violence against public figures? While the motive is still officially under investigation, multiple sources have hinted at a complex psychological profile and troubling social media activity by the suspect. Some believe Balmer's actions may have been fueled by extremist beliefs, possibly connected to far-right rhetoric or conspiracy theories that have increasingly targeted Jewish public figures. Governor Shapiro, who has never shied away from his Jewish identity and frequently speaks about faith and inclusivity, has long been a target of online hate groups. During a press conference held just hours after the arrest, the governor stood before the cameras with a mixture of resolve and sorrow, thanking law enforcement for their heroism, expressing gratitude for his family's safety, and condemning the attack as a stark reminder of the rising tide of political violence in America. "This was more than an attack on me," he said with calm intensity. "This was an attack on our values, our democracy, and our right to live in peace and practice our faith without fear." His voice cracked slightly as he mentioned the fear in his children's eyes as they were woken in the middle of the night and rushed to safety, the flames growing behind them. The press conference quickly went viral, with Americans across the country expressing solidarity with Shapiro, horrified by the act and inspired by his bravery. President Joe Biden called Shapiro personally, according to sources, expressing his outrage and vowing to support the investigation fully. Vice President Kamala Harris released a statement condemning the attack as cowardly, despicable, and un-American, while religious leaders, both Jewish and non-Jewish, spoke out in unity, denouncing anti-Semitism and urging calm. The attack has also reignited debates around political rhetoric and public safety, with many calling for greater protection of elected officials and more accountability for online platforms that allow hate speech to fester. But beyond the politics and the policy debates lies a deeply human story, a story of a family whose quiet holiday evening turned into a nightmare, of a leader tested not in the halls of power, but in the fires of hatred, and of a community that now must ask how it allowed the flames of extremism to come so close to its doorstep. As details continue to emerge about Balmer's background, law enforcement has revealed that he had no previous criminal record but had recently been let go from his job, was living in relative isolation, and had begun posting increasingly disturbing content online. Investigators have seized computers, phones, and personal writings from his home and are analyzing them for any indications of planning, accomplices, or ideological motivations. Early reports suggest a cocktail of mental instability, political rage, and religious hatred may have played a role, though no definitive conclusions have been reached. Meanwhile, the damage to the governor's residence is being assessed by structural engineers and historians, as the building is not just a home, but also a historical site. The entertainment room where the fire began was reportedly decorated with artwork, books, and mementos from Governor Shapiro's time in public service, many of which have now been lost to the flames. In the aftermath, the outpouring of support has been tremendous. Vigils have been held across Pennsylvania, with candles lit outside the mansion's gates and handwritten notes from children pinned to the iron fence. One note read, "Dear Governor, we are so sorry this happened. Please don't stop being brave." On social media, the hashtag #StandWithShapiro has trended for over 48 hours, with Americans from every walk of life sharing messages of encouragement and resolve. Celebrities, including Barbra Streisand, Mark Ruffalo, and Sarah Silverman, who have spoken out against anti-Semitism in the past, joined the conversation, calling the attack terrifying and tragic, while urging their followers to support initiatives combating hate. Even Hollywood, normally distant from political violence, has taken notice, with producers reportedly discussing documentaries and dramatizations of the event. The fear now, among security experts and civil rights groups, is that this attack might not be an isolated incident. The United States has seen a sharp rise in domestic terrorism cases in recent years, with the FBI warning that politically and religiously motivated attacks from lone actors or fringe groups are on the rise. The Shapiro attack fits a disturbing pattern, an individual radicalized either through isolation, online communities, or ideological obsession, taking violent action against a public figure. But this attack was not in some remote location. It was in the capital of Pennsylvania, at the home of the governor, a fortress-like building with security, cameras, and guards. If it could happen there, it could happen anywhere. For now, Governor Shapiro and his family are staying at an undisclosed location under tight security. He has assured the public that he will return to his official duties without delay, and that this act of terror will not deter his commitment to the people of Pennsylvania. He also pledged to strengthen protections for all public servants and vulnerable communities. "We cannot allow fear to dictate how we live," he said. "We will rebuild, we will heal, and we will fight back, not with hate, but with justice and hope." As the sun rises again over Harrisburg and the charred remains of the mansion stand as a haunting reminder, one thing is clear. This story is far from over. Investigators continue to dig for answers, lawmakers are drafting new legislation, and families across the country are discussing with their children what it means to be brave in the face of hatred. In a world where headlines often blur into one another, this event stands out, raw, real, and terrifying. It reminds us that beneath the politics are real people, real homes and real lives that can be shattered in an instant. And yet, it also reminds us of the resilience of the human spirit, of a governor who stood tall amid the smoke and flames, and of a community that refused to let hatred win. Stay tuned to Daily Gossip for more updates on this developing story. And remember, behind every headline is a heartbeat. Behind every story, a soul. Be safe, be strong, and never stop seeking the truth.